A very good morning to everyone. Okay. Now, it's been a lifelong debate amongst people between the analog world and the digital world. Okay. No matter what stream we are talking about, let it be filmmaking, sound, VFX, every stream has somewhat evolved into the digital domain. But if you are a professional in the field, you still prefer the analog workflow. To reach the conclusion, we have decided to do a debate on this. Okay, so the debate is on the OTT platforms such as Netflix, Amazon, and Hotstar or Disney Plus. All of these versus the theater. Okay, where the decisions will be made by the audience who's listening to the debate. Okay, after listening to the debate on both the sides, and you will be given a poll to decide which one is more convincing. Okay, as the audience, you get to decide which uh, argument was most convincing. Okay, so just before we start off, I will explain the rules and regulations and the participants who will be putting their point forward. Okay, now for rules and regulations, the after the first rule is after the first speaker of theater side has spoken, a speaker from the OTT team, but not their first speaker has the last word. Okay, they decide the decided order of the speaker will not be changed no matter what. Now, each speaker has a maximum time of 3 minutes. All right. Now, the chairperson checks the time carefully. He or she will be given a sign when the speaker has 10 seconds to go. And after speaking, the time is over. The speaker may finish his or her sentence and must stop then. Okay. Now, spare time may not be transferred to another speaker at all. So, if at all you finish before 3 minutes, the spare time will not be transferred to the next speaker. Okay. Now, interrupting a speaker is forbidden. All right. Now, the audience will not be able to participate in the debate. They will only be able to hear it, listen to it, and understand what they are trying to say. Okay. Now, in the vote, yes and no are counted. The majority of the votes given to a team will decide who wins it. Okay. The second thing is no foul language can be used during the debate. Okay. Now, any misconduct or violation of the above of the mentioned rules will give the host permission to remove the participant immediately. So make sure when you are putting your point forward, you do not use any foul language and follow all the rules and regulations. All right. Now let's get to our team. Okay. Now, since we are debating on the OTT and the theater, there are two teams: the OTT and the theater. Okay, the OTT will include Atharva, Shoher, Sudhanshu, Joel, and Paritosh. Theatre will include Abhishek, Sahil, Parval, Kavya, and Shruti. All right. Now, let's start the debate. All right. Now, before we start, okay. So the first point that we're going to be discussing is going to be the OTT. Why OTT and why theater? All right. So the ones discussing will be Joel Bobby from the OTT team and Abhishek from the theater team. Over to Joel.
Hi, hello, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Hi. So I guess we're going to start today's debate by talking about OTT versus theaters. And let's just say this is going to be a battle between two forces that's been going on since ages. I mean, not, well, since the modern age, and will continue probably till one team ends or vice versa. All right. So let's start with why OTT and let's talk about why theater. Let's start with the theater side. Why are theaters used for? Theaters are places where people come together to watch movies on the big screen, experience a unique way of experiencing the movies, where they wouldn't usually feel if they just watch the movie at their home on a TV screen. So movies have their own unique perspective when it comes to experiencing or a form of entertainment, while OTT is on demand service. So whenever you want to watch something, and for example, it's not on the theaters, that's when you go to OTT. Services like YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar are insane huge platforms when it comes to the OTT service. So I like to end this. I mean, what else? So when it comes to the OTT platform, the availability, the accessibility, the even the pricing is going to be an insane factor when it comes to why OTT is going to be better than theaters. Also agree to the fact that theaters have its own unique perks where, an individual sees a blockbuster movie, like for example the Avengers Endgame or uh, Black Panther or something like that, uh, on the big screen, have everyone over there have a unique experience. I'm pretty sure everyone got goosebumps and chills when Captain America came out with his shield. So that is a unique experience that is only going to be in theaters. But OTT is a platform to be reckoned with, and theaters should be a little afraid of the coming OTT platform. So that I would like to hand it over and pass it to my next person. So I believe you're on mute.
Sorry. So that was a great argument put up by Joel. Now let's move on to the theater side. Abhishek, and over to you.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so as Joel rightfully said, yeah, theater going is a great experience. I mean, cinema has been around for 100 years now, and that's the way people are used to experiencing movies. Going to the cinema, you go with your friends, you go with your relatives. It's an event. Or sometimes it's a pastime or whatever. But when you go there, it's not like something you do, right? It's it is a whole it, it's like a dream world. You're entering this dream world. The lights dim down, and this whole giant screen, it lights up, and you're into that world now. And the sound, it's loud. Now, while I do agree with what Joel said about OTT platforms and the availability of movies and stuff, but I don't think that experience of watching movies at home will be quite as similar as when you watch movie in the cinema. I mean, you could buy say a 100-inch television, get a 5.1 surround system at your house, but that is way more expensive, and it just won't be the same experience as going to a cinema. I mean, you can pay 150 or $200 and watch, I don't know what, Kissing Booth or whatever on this giant screen, and it'll still be a wonderful experience than just watching the movie at home. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Abhishek, for that point of view, and it's really something to think about. All right. Moving on to our next point, which is about budget. Okay. Now we have Atharva from the OTT team and Kavya from the theater team who are going to be discussing this point. All right. Over to Atharva.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go on, please.
Thank you, sir. Talking about the budget in the theaters, producing a movie for theaters and for OTT are the same, but the revenue which the producer gets is way more different. The one, I mean, 52 billion rupees, I mean dollars, have been decreased from theaters, and the OTT platforms are increased by 150 million. Like this is a huge amount, which is I mean, this is a huge difference. Like 94 due to this pandemic situation, 94% audience has been reduced from theaters. They have shifted to OTT platforms. So that's it. I mean, this is the main point that I would like to highlight on. So the revenue is insane, but the budgets are the same. Like in theaters, less number of people go. I mean, they do go if they have like more number of. I mean, the amount of money they have is more, they go on to the theater. If normal, middle class families, that they can buy 192, 199 rupees per month Amazon Prime, and they can get to watch many movies at in a month, many movies at one time, sitting at their home, eating whatever they want. I mean, this is a another topic, but they they can do whatever, they can pause the movie or whatever. Over to the next person.
Awesome, Atharva. That's you're correct. With coming so many OTT platforms coming up, it becomes it has become very flexible and very affordable as well. But now let's hear what Kavya has to say about the same.
Yeah,
Over to
can you
Kavya.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, talking upon statistics. So, let's say 199 rupees, you can watch many movies, but there are a lot of standard costs that a person has to incur before even subscribing to it. The average salary of an Indian as of date is 365 rupees per day. So, which is sums up to 10,500, or let's take it as 11,000 rupees a month. So, in that 11,000 rupees, a person has to be able to afford a good smart TV, a good speaker system, and he stuck on to 199. But I'm going to take into consideration Netflix, which is 800 a month. So 800 a month again is going to be 9,600 rupees a year. So which sums up to 35,000 rupees. And if I do the EMI calculation, it's going to be 2,800 rupees a month again. And an average Indian who's earning only 10,000 rupees a month, he has to spend more than quarter of his salary on just watching movies, which is 2,800 rupees. And with that 2,800 rupees, I can go to the theaters. And if on a tier one city where the ticket prices are about 180 rupees to 200 rupees, I can watch about 10, 15 movies a month. And I would any day, hands down, go on to a theater to watch the movie. So these are the cost that is actually covered up by the OTT platforms. So the investment on smart TVs, the investment on a good laptop or a good smartphone, and investment on a good speaker system to have a home theater experience. So these are the stuff. And also, the attention span of a human has reduced from 15 seconds to 8 seconds. So if I'm going to theater, the attention span inside a dark room, I'll able to focus my attention on the screen. Whereas when it comes to OTT, I'm not doing justice to the film, I believe. So if I'm sitting at home, I'm lying down and watching a movie, yeah, the comfort zone is there. Netflix and chill has come into trend. It's more of a more millennial term, whereas the chill happens and the Netflix is just playing at the back. That's what I would say. And these are the follies. It's like a public facade that's been falsified. These are the cost that is actually covered up by the OTT platforms. The telecommunication sector, the OTT sector, they have a very good tie-up. So, and also the data spent on watching each movie. And this is there on the Netflix website, which suggests to watch a HD movie, it consumes up to 3 GB of data. So let's assume I'm watching one movie a day, which is 90 GB. And 90 GB with Airtel is going to cost me about 600 rupees a month. So that's again, so everything is there. And an average Indian wouldn't be able to afford it. And India is not an economically sound country as of now. So any person for an entertainment purpose would rather prefer going to a theater, a normal average Indian, talking on average, talking on statistics. We're on a debate platform. So I would conclude by saying that how much ever a OTT platform could afford, it cannot match the experience of a theater. Firstly, and it is OTT covers up a lot of things which is not put into light. And now that I've spoken them out, it is up for the audience to decide whether they want to go to a theater or rather watch a movie on an OTT platform. So that's it.
Wow, that was a completely different and a completely eye-opening insight given by Kavya. And though I agree with Kavya, let's look at the next point that we have to discuss is the revenue that comes out of the OTT and the theater. Okay, to discuss this point, we have Atharva again and Kavya again. Okay, So over to Atharva. Let's see what he has to say.
So as I told about the budget as well, like the budget is same in both the uh, platforms. So the I mean the revenue is quite large. Like due to this pandemic situation, it is quite large. So no one will prefer to go into the theaters. Don't know when will don't know. Nobody knows when will the theater come up. Like when will be the theaters open. So many of the people are shifting from theaters to the OTT platforms. Like we don't have we don't know the what is the situation, what will be the situation for theaters. It has the theaters have been decreased a lot, the number of people have been decreased a lot. Like we even don't know who, the person sitting right to our next will have corona or not. So many of the peoples are afraid to going into the theaters. So I think this is quite large um, decrease in the revenue for theaters. And as they are moving from theaters to OTT, the revenue of OTT is quite large. So over to the next person, Abhishek, I guess.
Okay, so I agree with Atharva. Yeah, the revenue is shifting from the theater system to the OTT platform, but again, nothing can replace the analog world and the experience. I feel personally. Now hear what Kavya has to say about the same. Kavya, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So playing Atava's ball game over here. So Corona was not the first pandemic that the Earth has seen. So there's been the pandemic. There's been the Spanish flu pandemic, and theaters have still been into existence, and they're still doing well. So even after the post-pandemic COVID era, theaters are going to do well eventually, not on the shorter run, but on the longer run, definitely. And when it comes to revenue, any producer investing on a big budget movie would want a return on investment which is quicker rather than a long term investment. So we are talking about commodity market here and not the stock market. So if a 300 crore movie or a 500 crore movie is to release on an OTT platform, it wouldn't bring back the money, because the only form of revenue for a OTT platform is SVOD, which is subscription video on demand. So if some person is subscribing, they get the money. If not, no. So also the OTT platform buys the movie, right? So it's a one-time cost, and they renew the contract. Whereas when it comes to a theater, it's viral. Word of mouth is the biggest virality. So if a movie is good on the first day, we see the statistics on the newspaper. This movie has collected this much on the first day, this much on the second day, on the third day, and so on. So return on investment is rather guaranteed when it comes to a theater, and it is on the edge when it comes to an OTT platform. And revenue, again, for a producer, so he's the investor of the movie, right? So a producer might invest on releasing a movie in theater rather than an OTT platform. Okay, small budget movies are releasing on OTT platforms and they are doing good, but the grandeur films, they need to come to theaters because they offer a much better experience on the first hand, and they are guarantee you the money back when it comes to revenue generation. And revenue generation is rather a slow. It's too slow when it comes to an OTT platform, because let's say I've subscribed to Netflix the previous month and a good movie is coming up this month. The only income for the OTT platform or the distributor who's given the movie to the OTT platform is going to be on how much he sold the movie for. So that's the only thing. So it is rather a safe game played by the OTT platform owners like Netflix and Amazon Prime. Whereas when it comes to distribution in theaters, it is rather a big scale game. You are guaranteed the opening day sales, the box office numbers. These are more film terms, no? They've been in existence since Nickelodeon, the first theater. So we are kind of losing the originality of film. So no matter IPL came into existence and T20 became a big hit, people still do watch Test cricket, right? It's the same way. And Test cricket does make money too, and so do theaters. So no matter on how much money OTT gives, it will never match the revenue generated by a single movie released in a theater. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome. That's a beautiful. Again, Kavya is on. Is on fire. He is making such good points. Come on, guys, OTT guys, you need to come up with good arguments now. So the next argument that we are looking at is the availability. Okay, availability as in you know uh, the OTT platform the flexibility of OTT platform and the theater itself. Okay, from we have Sudhanshu and Shruti to discuss these points. Sudhanshu from the OTT and Shruti from the theater side. All right, let's
Yeah.
get Sudhanshu,
Good
over to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir, to everyone. So the point which I have been discussing today is the availability. And before discussing the availability point, I just want to counter the point which Kavya has said before, like as it correlates with my point of availability. So Kavya, I want to say like, yeah, it was a very impressive work that you remember all the numeric terms and all the
Mhm.
earnings of the like. You remember the economic state of the Indians, but like I want to say you something. A guy which is earning a 10,000 rupees per month is watching a movie for only his entertainment. If you ask him, he will rather say that watching a movie in a theater is more expensive for him. He even don't know what is Dolby sound. He is watching a movie for his entertainment, like he wants to forget all his daily life problems. A guy who is earning, for an example, the watchman of my society. Yesterday I saw him. He is using Netflix account on his normal phone, Android phone, and on his normal headphones. But if you ask him, he will say, "I am enjoying the time." So the OTT platform has provided everybody the access to the movies. So the point which I said that the guy who has to watch movies on OTT has to buy a surround sound TV, a good pairs of headphones. It is not mandatory, bro. So I want to ask you, like you raised the point of the economic section. The guys who are watching OTT, they should have a good pair of earphones, and I agree. The quality and the experience which theaters gives cannot be matched with the OTT. But if you have raised the point of the like the what can we say, the some people of India who cannot afford these theaters and all, they are going to OTT because they feel more affordable for the OTT, like buying a headphones of 100 rupees and buying a normal Android phone. And with thanks to the Geo, they are providing so much data, but they can afford a film a day very easily. And this add to the point of my like availability. The OTT films are available 24/7 with respect to the current situation also. So the theaters are, no doubt, they are going to open and they will have a huge what can we say, audience in future. But at present the OTT is the one who has came as a lifesaver for filmmakers, for producers, and for audience. No doubt, I can definitely say that the guys who are in the theater teams had watched a film OTT last night or last evening, but they will not admit. Like they want entertainment also. They are watching films on OTT also. They are reviewing the films on OTT also, but still they don't want to admit that OTT platform is a better choice and better platform for the theaters. And to add this point, a normal guy, if I have a the pricing point which that he discussed, like if we have to buy a normal ticket of a theater for a from a premium ticket, a normal guy cannot spend 1,000 per movie, including the premium seats, including the meal and all, etc., and taxes and all. In OTT we can buy 200 rupees per month and OTT account and watch multiple films, whatever type of you want, and etc. So yeah, OTT is the
Sudhanshu,
platform which is more available.
you
Yes,
can
sir.
finish the sentence and you can end your it's
Yeah.
time
So
up.
my conclusion point for the availability is it available for every person and at every time, despite of theaters.
Awesome. uh Moving on to the next participant, Shruti. Okay, over to
Yeah,
you.
Firstly, thank you, Subhanshu, that you gave me a wonderful point to start with. You told that rural India, but most of the 80% of Indians prefer you or see movies as a form of entertainment rather than a form of art, right? So that is why they don't want to spend so much on a theater. And considering that point, so they do consider it as just entertainment. That is because they don't have time. They have a stressful environment. Okay, a person who works in the IT department, they work like 15 hours a day and they don't have time. They just have one weekend and they just want to watch one movie that is kind of stress burst. They use that as a stress buster. Okay, so they don't need a yearly subscription for that. They watch one movie a month, or most of the Indians watch one. Even my parents watch just one movie a month or in 2 months or something. So so practically buying a subscription for 1 year is costly for them. And they can choose their movies and just go and watch that one movie whenever they want. Okay, and the second thing that you told that we most of us have access to smartphones. That is not true. About 2.5 crore Indians out of we are a population of, considering that we are a population of 135 crore Indians, about 2.5 crore Indians do not have access to smartphones. Okay, phones, let alone phones, do not have access to smartphones. Okay, and about 200 million people do not have access to television. Now don't even see the statistics on smart TVs. It's just television that I'm talking about. Okay, so how do you how can you even counter Kavya's point? You cannot counter anybody's point by saying that we do not need a hard a television, or a large scale investment. What will those 3 crore people do without a smartphone? And secondly, there are just two. We are one, again talking about the statistics. We are just 130. We are 135 crore Indians. Okay, and out of that, there are just 20 lakh Netflix subscribers right now till as of today. And Amazon, which is like very popular, one of the most popular among common men, has just 1 crore users. So whereas when you see on the other side, theater side, we have around 1,000 theaters, 10,000 theaters, and which has about 13,000 screens altogether. This is the statistics. So with 13,000 screens, don't you think it is more accessible to the remote parts of India to just go and watch a movie? Thank you.
Yeah, great. That was a good point by Shruti. I think the OTT has a lot to say. Let's move on to the next point. They can counter it in the next point itself. You guys can counter it. So the next point is the watching experience and the quality. All right. And we have Paritosh from the OTT side, and we have Parbal from the theater side. Paritosh, over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes, go for it.
Right. First, I'd like to talk about um, the previous point, which was mentioned that like about 2 crore people who don't have phones and TVs. First things first, those people are living under the poverty line and cannot afford theaters as well. So basically, they're out of the equation for now. Plus, out of 135 crore people, 2 crore don't have phones, but the rest 133 do have phones. So that's not really a problem there. Plus, Sudhanshu really did say his watchman was watching Netflix, and well, he was just sitting there watching Netflix. So that's pretty much done, addressed there itself, self explanatory. Next, I would like to address uh, Abhishek's point, that is expensive surround sound. This I'll explain to all my other points. Now, the average person obviously watches it for entertainment, as mentioned before, and an average person probably has a desktop resolution of 1080p, which is fine, very good, and most people are happy with this resolution. You just need a pair of earphones, headphones, or fairly good working speakers and just a monitor to watch a movie and to enjoy the experience. I myself have enjoyed my enjoyed a movie with with earphones and my laptop, which is basically 1336p or something around that. So you don't really need high resolution everything to watch to enjoy a good movie. Most people are interested in the story content, so they can compensate for the audio and visual quality. Any average Joe, as I said, will be satisfied with a fairly good speaker and monitor. Smart TVs these days have 4K thing and surround sound, but they are expensive. However, they have pros as well. We can watch infinite shows and infinite movies as opposed to theaters which have limited shows, limited time, limited everything. We can at a home setup in an OTT, we can watch anything anywhere. Well, with TVs and desktops, you need to be at home, but we have mobile phones. I personally have watched a show while going to and fro from classes in a bus with earphones on, so that's not really a problem. We can watch it anywhere, so that's very accessible as well. Plus, a small point to note is that we can watch TV shows and cartoons on mm, mobile phones and desktops. I don't think we can watch them in theaters unless it's a movie. Shows we can watch. Any point on this? Ah, yes. Expensive TV setup for any average salary man was that's a point mentioned by Kavya. The average salary is 10k rupees. Well, I do want to mention that any person with an average salary does have access to either a smartphone or a laptop and can watch a movie there. So I believe I've covered all the points and over to Double.
Awesome. Now over to Purval.
Yeah, so Paritosh was right that I mean his point is right, but right now in so many small towns and cities where people cannot access the smartphone and all the things, but they can access that they can afford the theaters because the minor ticket of theaters is just 80 rupees. Means in small towns, I am just not talking about the multiplex because in cities the cost of theaters are reaching so high, but in the town where people cannot afford, and if we talk about the Netflix and Amazon Prime, so the starting of our monthly subscription start from 200 and 300 rupees. Okay, and the means normal person don't have time to just look at the web series and movies for the whole day like we youngsters do. Okay, so why they are going to invest their money means like for them one rupees is so important. Okay, and everyone means right now in pandemic time we can see that people are suffering from economic conditions so much, and why they are going to, and not in the pandemic condition but at the regular time also, if they don't have time to watch the content online for the whole day, so why they will invest their money. But if they want to spend one weekend with their family in theater and they want to enjoy something out and they want to go on outing, so they can just afford the ticket of 80 to 90 rupees for 3 to 4 persons. Okay, means they can just watch on one movie and they can enjoy there, they can have some snacks. But if we will, in small towns, I am talking about the small towns, so where people cannot afford the phone and they cannot afford all the means things to watch. And as Paritosh said that we don't need that so many equipments for the OTT platform, but if you don't have that thing, means if you don't have nice sound quality, nice display quality, then what is the meaning of paying so much to the OTT platform? Because if you cannot watch that thing in a nice quality. Okay, so that was the main thing about it. And then the main thing is that only in small towns so many people have that network issue. Okay, so they can afford it, they will buy it, but they cannot stream it in a nice quality, they have to stream it in a low quality only, so that is not the experience about what they are watching. So that experience they will get more quality purpose. If they want to see that content in more nice quality, they can go to theaters and watch that content in a good quality. Due to, and they are not going to suffer with any network issues. And that is the main point about that quality issues and the main problem.
Okay, awesome. If you guys, in the audience, if you have something to say, you can type it in the chat box and we can look at it. All right. Now moving on to the next point, which is pricing. Okay, the cost pricing for the OTT and the theater as well. So for to discuss this point, we have Sudhanshu and we have Abhishek from the OTT and the theater. Over to Sudhanshu.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for letting me speak. So yeah, the first point which I am going to discuss about the pricing is the last point which he gave me, that he said like a person who is not earning well, his economic condition is not good, and he is willing to pay 80 to 100 rupees for one movie, for one show, for uh, 1.5 hour or 2 hour. He is willing to pay, and he is okay with watching one movie per month. Okay, good, good for him. Now, if he is having a smartphone, as the Paritosh said, that everybody is having a smartphone, and that the Shruti which has given me the point, like she said, like 3 crore people are not having smartphones. So how do you expect from 3 crore people are not having smartphone, but they will go to theaters to buy the premium tickets for the movies? Exactly. So the guy who's not having any money for internet pack, for mobile phone, for anything else, then how do you expect them to go to theaters and watch your film by giving 300, 400 for one picture? Now coming back to the point that what he said, that 200 per month and 300 per month is the rate of the Netflix and Amazon. So let me tell you one thing. There are many platforms which provide you some content free. Like Hotstar provide you some content free. They are not purely paid. There are only paid versions where are some special movies like their Netflix account and all. And for an instance, every OTT platform provides you a 1 month free subscription, 1 month free trial, in which they show you like by giving 100 to 200 per month, you can enjoy unlimited movies at any time when you feel. So the point which Shruti said, that IT sectors, they are very busy. They see one movie in a month. So let me discuss to you, if you have ever traveled in local Mumbai trains, local trains, the guys who are traveling from one city to another movie for their job, they spend their time of 1.5 hour traveling by watching these OTT platforms only, in trains, in bus. If you see, if you ever travel in the local transportation, maximum number of audience is only watching on OTT platform. They are uh, they're spending their time on the OTT platform. So easy accessible for all, and the pricing is very low for the audience for the OTT. That's why everybody is consuming. Everybody is onto OTT platform rather than this. I like. Agree to the point that for me also, I will also go one in a month for a movie which is a special movie like Avengers and all, and then go to the theater and experience the movie. But how can you expect me, like my filmmaking teacher said, like Sudhanshu, you have to watch 3 movies per day, and I'm going to the theater watching 3 movies a day. I will not exactly my eyes and my ears. It's okay. I'll experience the Dolby sound. I have a great experience, but how am I supposed to watch 2 movies, 3 movies in a day? Exactly. So OTT platform is easily available, and the pricing, it gives you maximum number of experience in low price as compared to theaters.
Okay. Thank you, Sudhanshu. Your time's
Yes.
up. Okay. Now, that was a good point made by both the participants for Sudhanshu and Abhishek. Sorry. Moving on to the next participant, Abhishek. Over to you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I mean, I'd like to start by agreeing with whatever they said with the pricing points of the OTT, and he's absolutely right. I mean, the I think the minimum monthly charge of Netflix is $200 a month. For, I mean, you can watch movies, yeah, whatever movies, unlimited movies you can watch on your telephone now. You don't have to have a 100-inch television set or surround sound or whatever. But I think it's kind of fair. I think it's more than fair to relate these prices with the experience of watching movies. I mean, if for say 150, I mean, you can still go to Alka Talkies in Pune, watch a movie for 60, $70 on a huge screen, and I mean, it's good sound also. I mean, I think that's a good quality, and I think what people have said earlier also about economic conditions of people. Now we have to see most people, the majority of people, I guess, using Netflix and using Prime and Hotstar are mostly millennials or people of the younger generation, right? I mean, my dad doesn't use Netflix or Hotstar because he doesn't know how to use, and there is a piracy issue also. Most of us are talking about OTT and stuff. I mean, I'm pretty sure not a lot of us even have accounts. We've been using our friends' accounts or resort to piracy on torrents or whatever. But I think paying those 150 rupees or 200 or 250 and going to a cinema and experiencing that, it's more than worth it, I think. I mean, I still remember when Joel mentioned earlier, when Avengers Endgame came out, everybody wanted to see the film. The tickets were being sold out within minutes, literal minutes. And in IMAX, the ticket prices were going up to $1,000, and people were still ready to see that because people just love those movies so much. People love that experience, going with the crowd and experiencing that movie. And people, a lot of people think that's worth it. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you for that insight, Abhishek. Uh, Moving on to the next point, just to put my perspective there, um, both of you are kind of correct and kind of off the topic a little. Uh, I'll be precise. So when it's my personal opinion again. I would prefer the OTT for just the comfort that I get at my home, but I would prefer the theaters for the quality. That's my perspective. Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, which platform needs more crew and equipment? The crew and equipment that goes into making OTT platform content, or a theater content, that is a cinema or a film, short films, or anything. So to discuss these points, we have Paritosh from OTT and we have Sahil from the theater team. Over to Paritosh.
Right? I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Let's start with theaters. I'll talk about crew and equipment from the production to the theaters. Basically, for a proper theatrical view, for commercial budget, commercial movies, a lot of crew, a lot of equipment, big budget, everything is required. And even in the theater, there are people to handle projectors, to clean the theaters, basically everything. There are professionals to fix the equipment if something goes wrong. However, in the OTT platform, and the receiving end, you take care of basically all your equipment, and you have streaming services like Netflix who basically need to maintain a server, and I don't believe a lot of manpower is actually required for that. And because you have less crew, you have a less budget. But the point here is, as long as you have creativity, less budget should not be that big of a hindrance in creating a good movie or a good show. It can be enjoyable by anyone. People make good content with mobile phones only. So a professional grade camera can do just as well. Am I right? Am I missing points? I believe that's about it. Over to the next speaker.
Yes, I agree with Paritosh. I've seen those advertisements that iPhone came out with. They shot it with the iPhones and everything. The short films that they did, it was phenomenal. But does it really compare with the theater, the traditional way of shooting films? Let's figure it out. Let's hear it from Sahil.
Sir,
Sahil?
am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, sir. Sir, I agree with Paritosh's point. There is budget problem. Like Netflix has low budget and they can provide good movies in that. And in theaters, we have big budgets, and they need more crew, more camera equipment. But the here comes, like in India, it differs on audience. Like we have masses audience more than content consuming. So producers are paying them money to for that audience. Like they want to be their movie like big. They want to good locations, good cameras, good. Their movie should look good, good songs. So they then masses audience come to pay this, and that movie like crosses like 200 crores, 300 crores, and that's a huge profit for producers. And in Netflix, like it's just a small amount of a small amount of money it's put in that, and then they get subscriptions, and okay, it's over. So they are content consumers, but mainly in India, the movies are made in the masses audience. Masses audience are more involved in that movie. So that's my point.
Awesome. Thank you, Sahil. So now moving on to the next kind of point, that is freedom of content and language. Okay, this was a major point that recently happened in India about the censor board and all those things. So to discuss this point, freedom of content and language, we have Shoaib coming from the OTT team, and we have Sahil again coming from the theater team. Over to Shoaib.
Okay, let me start by saying everyone here has made some very well, and I commend you for that. So when we're talking about freedom of content and languages, see, the thing is about OTT. The thing about OTT is that you have a virtually infinite amount of content on there, available in almost all languages, and that's not all. See, the thing is, if you want to watch a movie with subtitles, you wouldn't be able to do that in a theater. You would be able to do that using, like, if you're on a platform that does support that, for example Netflix or Amazon or any of the other platforms available. And that's not all. For example, if you do not wish to listen to a movie's audio uh, in one particular language, what you can do is that you can just watch it in some other language, like whichever language will be easily available to you, in whichever language that you want to listen. For example, if I want to watch a movie in Hindi that was originally in English, I do have the option to do that. Almost all platforms provide you with this option. But that's not all. You can also choose from different audio streams and different qualities for different like systems and different internet speeds, which I'm pretty sure the theater will never be able to provide you with. And I believe in saying that I have made my point. Over to the next speaker.
Thank you, sure. That was a good point you made. And let's hear the counter from Sahil. Sahil, over to you.
Sir, OTT platform doesn't have a censorship. So it has all the violence content, all the R-rated movies, and actually Netflix is producing more R-rated movies. And all small kids like 12, 13-year-old kids have Netflix accounts nowadays. So they can easily see that kind of movies or strong languages. And there is no, and in India, there are more OTT platforms like Aldwala, Janet Ullu. They are totally disgusting. So that OTT platform should not spread more. That's my point.
Okay, thank you, Sahil. I agree with Sahil that there should be some control over it, but too much control also kills the creativity. I believe that as well. So, then moving on to the next point that we have, that is opportunities to new talent. So now the opportunities provided by the OTT and the theater, the traditional filmmaking and everyone, the opportunities provided by them. To discuss this point, we have Shoaib again coming from the OTT team, and we have Shruti coming from the theater team. Let's hear from Shoaib. Shoaib, over to you.
Yeah. So let me begin by saying that I do not believe in censorship. When I say I do
Okay.
not believe in censorship, I do not mean I do not believe in it completely. There should be an amount of censorship. But the thing is, too much censorship just ruins what the director intends for you to see. And apart from that, we're going to be talking about the kind of opportunities OTT creates. See, the thing is, there are literally hundreds of projects coming out every single day for OTT platforms. You have opportunities, you have employment opportunities that are through the roof. All right, the amount of opportunities you have because of OTT are way more than the amount of opportunities that cinema has ever or theater has ever created for people. Even freelancers in these days, if they have enough work experience or if they have the right kind of work experience, can work on certain projects. And that wasn't a thing earlier. That wasn't a thing when only theaters were like in power, so as to say. And the thing is, you cannot decide like the kind of hold on. I completely missed my train of thought. I'm so sorry. I just looked at a message and it just uh,
So your point was opportunities to the new talent.
yeah, I remember that. So like it gives so many people opportunities that theater did not do back then. And while the number of opportunities that are being created by theaters have improved because of the number of movies that are coming out recently, they can never hope to match the amount of opportunities that OTT has created in this short span of time. Honestly, that is one of the reasons OTT is generating the kind of revenue it has. It is, and theater cannot even hope to match up to it in today's day. To be very honest, and yeah, that's pretty.
Thank you, Shoaib. And now moving on to the next participant, let's see how Shruti counters this. Shruti, over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so when we talk about new talent and new opportunities, we just don't talk about movie directors and all those freelancers who are working, who have the access and who can, kind of afford to do freelancing. We have a lot of people who are daily wage workers who are actually working on a film set, and they get paid on a daily basis, and they are employed because of that. About 8 lakh people are employed in the entertainment industry every 3 years. So it's like we just cannot consider the fact that new talent and new stories are getting made in the OTT platform. We also have to consider the fact that when a big budget film like Bahubali or something is made, Avengers or Bahubali is made, there's a huge team, a huge producers team, directors team, which consists of uh, sub teams and stuff, uh, screenwriters, production designers, art directors, costume designers, cinematographers, editors, actors, music supervisors, etc., etc., and it goes on. Makeup artists, everybody. So it's a huge team. If you just take an example of Bahubali, around 5,000 junior artists worked in that, in just the war scene. So it is, theater. When you talk about theater, when the budget is huge, it just provides, you know, employment to many people that may not be even kind of interested in making movies, but they are just interested in making the ends meet. So over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Shruti. Moving on to the next point, it is the effect on consumer goods. So when you, for basically, for example, when you're using an OTT platform, you cut short a lot of middlemen. How does that affect, and the economic side of it? So for to discuss this, we have Joel Bobby from the OTT, and we have uh, Parbal from theater side. Over to Joel.
Hi.
Let
So before I start on consumer goods, I like to say that everyone had a really good point that they made today. But I just wanted to go back on the opportunities of new talent just once, saying that, yeah, I agree that large budget does do a lot of that. But you do realize that nowadays, when it comes to the OTT platform, most of it is again large budget. When it comes to, 'cause for example, shows like Orange is the New Black, or Netflix original shows, they spend almost $50 million just to make one season of that show. So I wouldn't consider, I mean, as new talent goes out, I would again give it to OTT as well. All right. So now back to effects on consumer goods. I would say that because of the huge availability of OTT platform and how most people have access to it. All right. Uh, the amount of the way people can sell the merchandises for a particular show is insanely large just because of the reach. For example, name any show that you can think of. At the top of my head, I think of Rick and Morty. I'm pretty sure everyone over here and might have heard about the show and would occasionally, if they saw something that reminded them of Rick and Morty, would actually buy uh, the consumer goods from them. For example, merch, T-shirts, all of these things does include in the consumer goods. I do agree to the fact that there are some consumer goods that goes to theaters, but those are mainly for the profit of the theaters. For example, the food that's sold just before the theaters. And I would like to add this point to the pricing and the pricing of the theaters as well. For example, you're just paying 200, 800 rupees a month for a Netflix subscription or something. But when you go to a theater, you're spending 200 rupees on a ticket. But on top of that, you're spending, I don't know, 400, maybe even 500 rupees on the food and beverages there, just so that you can enjoy the movie there. So at the end of the day, when you look at it, the total adds up. All right. So that's one of the main points that I wanted to make, that yes, there was a lot of good points that was made, but this is one. And yeah, so the end with the consumer good, just because of the availability and reach, you got consumer goods are out there for anyone to buy. I'd like to pass it over to the next speaker.
Thank you, Joel. That was a good point. Going over to Purple, it's a
Yeah. Means
over
that
to
is a
you.
good point that in OTT platform we don't have to means invest so much of money on food and beverages. But if we will see from the point of perspective of brands and companies who are investing their money in promoting their products or just investing in promoting the movies or producing. So in OTT platform we can see the advertisements and all, but we never see the advertisement. We just skip the advertisements, or whenever ad comes in between of the movie or something, we just move from there and we just do our some work for the 1 or 2 minutes the advertisement time. But if we go in a theater, so we just purchase the beverages from there, we purchase food, we purchase cold drink. So from the perspective of a man who can purchase the ticket of 200 and 250, for him the beverages of 100 and 150 is not too much. He can afford it means properly. For him that amount is not too much. But if we will look from the point of perspective of companies, so for them they are making profit from it. They are earning and they are just means they are selling their products properly. If they are collabing with Inox, if Coca-Cola is collabing with Inox, so if person is going to Inox, so he is just bounded that he had to buy the beverages from Coca-Cola only. So Coca-Cola is earning profit. So if we will look from the point of perspective of brand, so they are earning more money in comparative. If the means the total amount of money they are earning from OTT is more less than the amount of money they are earning from theaters. And the person who can buy the ticket of 250 200 250 in theaters can obviously buy the beverages of 100 and 150 rupees with the ticket only. So right now in the today's date we can just buy our beverages with the with buying the ticket only. Means we have that combo packs and all that. We don't need to go there and buy that beverages also. So that is the means one thing that is good about the theater thing, that company if companies are means earning more profit in theaters.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Purple. Now, moving on to the last point that we have to discuss is the conclusion. Okay, the concluding argument from the OTT side and the theater side. All right, to do the concluding argument, we have Joel from the OTT and we have Abhishek from the theater side. Over to Joel.
Hi. Okay. So thanks for coming back to me. So to just before I start my conclusion, I wanted to counter Prabhal's point actually. You say that there's ads on OTT platforms, but there are ads on main screen theaters as well. For example, whenever you go to watch a movie, just before the movie starts, the first 20 minutes is just ads. Yes, I agreed to the fact that it's for you to settle down, to get food and beverages, etc., etc., etc. But it is still ads at the end of the day. You are watching ads at the theaters as well. Secondly, for example, the food and beverages that you get there, they are at a very hyped price. They are way above market price. For example, a normal salted popcorn at a normal IMAX theater costs you anywhere from 150 to 250 rupees, which you can easily make it for around 50 rupees at home with the instant pack. Okay, so that is one of the huge points that comes up. Okay, so let me just conclude this entire thing, all right, by saying that everyone had great points, but all right, at the end of the day, this is business, all right, and business will only thrive because of revenue and where the money is coming from. And statistics don't lie, and we can say, and I believe Javier did bring up a lot of statistics into this, and I'm really glad he did. Okay, but at the end of the day, the OTT platform are the ones who are making the most revenue. It doesn't matter what it is. OTT platforms are the ones making the most revenue just because of the availability. Not only that, even though the theaters are up there, they have many different costs that comes into maintaining a theater. The staff there, the cleaning up. After every movie is done, you have to clean up the place. You have to keep upgrading the equipments there according to the new, IMAX 11.1, whatever needs to be done. For example, if anything goes wrong, you need to get it serviced, repaired. All of those adds up when it comes at the end of the day billing. So when you look at that, most of the film theaters nowadays are running at a loss. And Corona was just more gasoline to the fire, because it's forcing less people to go there, and that is going into a repeated cycle of supply and demand. Revenues not getting more, thus they're increasing the price of tickets, and thus we don't go to watch it even more, and thus forcing them to increase it even more. So it's a repeating downward spiral of increasing prices to less people visiting, because they can watch the same thing on OTT platforms. They did bring up a new point. I also wanted to add, for example, this year, can you guys name how many blockbuster movies have come out? Like 5, 10? That's it. All right, just 5 to 10 movies that has come out as blockbuster movies. And even for those, it's like you most of them weren't even on. I mean, okay, one thing I want to point out is, have you ever noticed that there's theatrical release and then there's the online subscription release, and the window between those two has been closing down very narrow. Before, it was 1 year, maybe 2 years till the theatrical release to the OTT platform release, but now it's basically 1 month. For example, uh
Joel,
Disney star
last point.
yeah, so Disney's Plus is doing direct OTT releases. So at the end of the day, I just want to point it out that this is business, and OTT has a much higher hand when it comes to business and revenue.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel. And Abhishek, over to you. Let's hear what Abhishek has to say.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything Joel has said and everyone they've said. And if I'm being completely honest, if I'm being very honest, I think cinema is dying. I think theaters are dying. I mean, if in 15, 20 years, everything is going to be owned by the Disney Corporation, and the only thing you'll be seeing in theaters is a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie. You won't be able to see small indie films in theaters. And I think the OTT platforms, Netflix and Prime or YouTube even, are great platform for such indie creators and indie movie makers, and it gives them a great voice. And I mean, I agree with what they've said, and I think more about the logistics and the technical merit of what we've discussed about. If I'm talking about a bit of a personal experience, I mean, my father, when he was younger, he was very, very poor. I mean, most of the time they didn't even have money to buy food or groceries, and where he lived, watching a movie was dirt cheap. It costed absolutely nothing. So, and sometimes he would pay for it, or sometimes his friends would pay for it. But when he would go to those movies and watch, I mean, Amitabh Bachchan on 70 he would forget about his life, whatever is going on in his life, whatever is happening at home. There is that sense of escapism. And I think when it comes to OTT, there is no specialty, or there is no personal connection when it comes to OTT. I think it is becoming more of a passive experience. I mean, number of us have taken our girlfriends or boyfriends to a theater, yeah, on a date, and maybe the date went good or bad, but it's always with that is with us. I mean, the experience is with us, and I think more than the logistic or the technical merit of it, the cinema, it transcends. It becomes almost religious in a way. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Abhishek. So those were the concluding points by both the teams. Now, coming to the end, we are going to be posting a poll on our Zoom call as well as our YouTube, as it is streaming on both the ends. I request you to click on the link that is posted on the chat and vote for your team. Go for it. Till then, what I would like to discuss is my personal point of view as a moderator, listening to all you guys coming up with brilliant points. What I think is you guys missed out a little bit of the little bit core points, discussing them. When you're talking about the OTT of course is given opportunities to the newcomers on a very large scale, but if you are moving on to OTT from theater, you're killing talent as well. You're killing the art itself. Nobody will, in today's world, when you come from a place where you have worked on desks and everything, you put a desk in front of someone, a big producer who is only worked on a DAW. I'm talking about the sound perspective. He'll be clueless. He'll be clueless. And it's an art about the kind of sound that comes from the analog side. I'm just talking about the sound perspective, not about the film and the VFX side. um, we still enjoy it. We still prefer Michael Jackson over Weekend. We still prefer a lot of things over the analog side of it. So, for example, in this scenario, if you're talking about the OTT and the theater, of course, OTT gives you comfort, but theater gives you experience. So now it's a discussion that you need to. It's a fight amongst yourselves to discuss which suits you better. For example, if comfort is more important for you, it's the OTT that you can go to. But if experience is more important, theater is the place for you. For me personally, experience is much more important than just the comfort. That's my perspective about it. And we have, if nobody has, the link is here, and I request you to please vote and decide which team gets to take the prize away. And the one thing that I think all of you guys missed was the people working behind it. So if you are talking about the budget and the revenue, here we are talking about the revenue. There are a lot of cases right now going on about revenue where the royalties are not given back. I don't know if you are aware of it. There was a huge case filed against T Series by Jagjit Singh, who filed a case saying that his royalties were not given to him, after his wife filed a case saying that the royalties weren't passed on. And budgets, of course, budgets, theaters are going to have a lot of huge budgets. But the other thing is, in OTT, you see the simple side of the production and everything. It's beautiful, no doubt, but the grand the hero getting off a helicopter and coming running to the door, and his mother with the thali at the entrance, it doesn't happen. uh, that kind of stuff doesn't happen in the OTT. But of course, if we give an opportunity to them, it might just work. Okay, someone is saying that we need permission for the Google form. Jimmy or Roger, can you just look into it?
So we have to access through our Seamedu's email ID.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
then we can get it.
So I feel that no matter what happens, theater will survive. Abhishek said that it's slowly fading away, and I don't believe it. It will survive no matter what happens. People like it's like old record players. They have survived over you know a century. I think they have survived and they will survive. There's no replacement for art. That is what I feel. And but OTT does give you comfort. But what I feel is the other perspective is we are talking about experience what theaters give us. But how many of the theaters? See, I'm a sound guy, so I'm going to talk about a sound perspective, sound point of view. So when you go to a theater, how many of the theaters are actually Atmos? They advertise as Atmos, but how many of them are actually Atmos? In my experience, if I go to 6 theaters, out of which only 2 will be actually Atmos, and the others will be just the speaker is there for just there. It's not playing anything. For me, a good experience is really good. And so, for example, to tell you a story about experience, I get motion sickness really fast. I went to watch Dunkirk in a very good theater. The sound system was so good. I puked 3 times, and forget the weak stomach, but the experience was so good that it made me feel that I was in the sea and I could see everything moving around me. So that is what I call experience. But OTT cannot give it to me unless and until I invest in a system which can actually produce. Now, when you're talking about OTT, you need to do justice to the artist. You need to do justice to the artist, and you being all of you being artists in different fields, you have to do justice to the artist. Yeah, so I have to invest into a system where I can reproduce what the producer or the director intended to the experience that he created for us. I should have the equipment to experience it. If I do not have, then it doesn't make sense. And even though Netflix gives you 5.1, 7.1, or whatever, it doesn't mean that you can actually play it back, because if you don't have the system that supports that, it's useless. And the kind of the cheaper 5.1 or the 7.1 that comes out, it's not necessary that it gives you the quality, man. It's not. It does not. So coming back to our scores, the scores are ready. Okay. Good luck, everyone. Let's see what the scores are. Whoa. The OTT versus the theater. We have 26 votes for the OTT and 42 votes for the theater. And theater wins. Congratulations, guys. I hope you had a good time, and I definitely did have a good time listening to your point of views about so many things and statistics, which I wasn't aware of, and all the different point of views. It was brilliant. Okay. Uh. Okay. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you had a good time. And if you have anything to discuss, we can discuss it further later on. And congratulations to the winners. You guys did a brilliant job. And with such a short notice to discuss about the points and everything, you did a brilliant job. Congratulations. You deserve a pat on your back. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. See you guys. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.